fight number 3 on our 6-bout card features a matchup between a freestyle wrestler fighting out of Linden, Utah. 5'10", 203 pounds. He's a 2-time NCAA, 3-time world champion, and 84 Olympic gold medalist. Please welcome Mark Schultz. And returning to the octagon tonight, his opponent, a veteran and runner-up in UFC 8, a 4th-degree black belt in the Korean art of Buksuwan, and the 93 Canadian amateur super heavyweight boxing champion, 6'3", 240 pounds, Big Daddy from Barrie, Ontario, Canada, Goodridge.
And oh, does he have a following? Barrie, Ontario is 4 hours and 35 minutes from here. But I think he built his reputation on pay-per-view. Now one of our lovely octagon side girls.
Well, speaking of the fighting here, Bruce, when I take a look at this, I see a classic matchup against a grappler versus striker.
Right. Schultz wants to be on the ground, and Goodridge wants to be on his feet. The question is, Don the Dragon, can Schultz get Goodridge to the ground?
Well, even if he does, we've seen in the past that Goodridge has the ability to use those elbows inside on the ground. So that may not be the only thing he needs to do in this bout.
Goodridge has been preparing for a long time, but he was expecting Beneteau. Schultz agreed to fight this morning. How that will play to this battle.
Well, it shouldn't matter until the later, if it goes later in the bout, then conditioning will become a factor. But in these early minutes, it's purely skill. Looks like Goodridge is content to try to box it out here. He hasn't thrown anything, but he's in a position to throw a good punch.
He keeps his hands up high defensively as a boxer would. Schultz goes for it.
Schultz has it.
Drops him! What a move by Schultz!
I can't tell how far sunk in Goodrich's left arm is around Schultz's neck. I don't know if that's a guillotine or not. He doesn't have his hands locked. His right arm's out there, so it's a one-arm hold. It's not a choke.
All right, Jeff, he knows this position. He's been there how often before? He's never punched from here in a regular competition, though.
I'm sure what he'll do here is wait to feel out Goodridge a little bit. Goodridge has to spend a lot of energy to hang on to Schultz to keep him from coming up. He'll bide his time. I'm sure Schultz will be very, very focused here.
And the thing, Dragon, that Schultz has to be careful of is he doesn't want to allow that striker, as you see his toes hanging onto the gate there, you don't want to allow that striker to get loose. So he wants to be, I would think, almost a little bit conservative before he tries anything flashy like a choke.
Right, he's better take his time because Goodridge is a very strong, powerful man, and he will definitely use hand and elbow strikes on the ground.
Goodridge has him two ways. He's locked on with his left arm to his own gi, and with his right arm around Schultz's body, grabbing his own pants of his leg, or his own bottom of his gi there to keep Schultz from being able to raise up. Mark tried to go ahead and pull his head out, but because he's grabbing his own gi, makes it a fairly tight hold, though it's not a choke. It's just keeping Schultz's head down.
Well, what about the positioning here, Jeff? Who do you like? Where would you rather be?
Oh, I'd rather be on top, of course. I don't know anything about the guard. Part of Sereno's entourage was a 17-year-old, 160-pound athlete who they want to bring to the UFC eventually. And I sparred with him nearly 40 minutes doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he was so proficient at it, very slick, able to take on a guy, you know, literally 70, 80 pounds bigger than him and do quite well.
So it is Schultz on top, Goodridge on the bottom, and now Schultz just chopping away at the body a little bit, trying to loosen up Gary Goodridge. An explosive move by Schultz, racing across the octagon, dropping Goodridge, and that's how they got to this position.
Oh, that's one thing that the fence came into play in favor of Schultz, is that when he tried to double, he really didn't have it sunk deep, but when Goodridge backed into the fence, he was able to get a good hold pick him up, and that was a wonderful slam.
Keep in mind, if we do go 12 minutes, we do not have a finish. There will be a 3-minute overtime, which means they start on their feet again. So Goodridge would get another shot at him from a standing position.
And he's taking everything Schultz has in terms of strikes, but Schultz can't really put anything into those because of the proximity of the bodies. They're too close.
Still a lot of time in regulation.
Goodridge has his leg. He's got one leg locked in his scissors back there. So he's got him held pretty good as far as...
Would you go to elbow here instead of fist right into the side of the ribs there?
I don't think he's got the room. I think Goodridge is holding him so tight that all he can do is those little short little rabbit punches. And I don't think they're going to have enough to really break Goodridge down. Well, this may be a case where John may have to restart these guys.
Well, he got his attention there. He took a couple shots to the head, and Goodridge brought his arms down. Schultz needs to be careful. Looks like Goodridge is trying to elevate him here, going to the right. Towards Goodridge's left on Schultz's right arm.
Schultz locks that right arm around Goodridge's head, then punches with the left hand.
And he's starting to pass the guard a little bit there. He seems to be more on his knees now.
And somebody is bleeding.
And it's Goodridge. It's the right ear of Goodridge in my view from here.
Keep working. Let's go. Here we go.
And now the wrestler's off to the side. He's past the guard. Let's see what Schultz will do here.
Good quickness there by Schultz. Schultz working on Gary Goodridge.
The thing about Goodridge is he's got so much natural strength that he's able to just muscle his way out of some of this stuff.
Oh, he's tremendously powerful. He bench pressed Jerry Bolander in his last outing right off of him in the mounted position.
And that's an unusual wrestling move, the bench press.
As an arm wrestler as a kid, he started all over the kitchen table. 4 sisters, 2 older, 2 younger. Couldn't beat the eldest one. Finally beat the eldest, but then took on his father, 6'6", 385. And started out wrestling with one finger against the hand, and then all of a sudden he got better and better and beat his dad.
There's a great shot of Goodridge hanging onto his pants leg to keep Schultz from being able to get distance to bring blows down. That's the advantage of wearing a gi, and there they go, they break him off.
So there's still plenty of time, 6 minutes, and it's a restart.
How much do you think that might have zapped from Goodridge fighting that hard on the ground?
Well, now he's got another chance to start from his feet. And it's Dave Beneteau in the corner of Schultz. It might have been Schultz in the corner of Beneteau.
This is where Goodridge needs to stay, right here. He needs to stay and just wait and let the grappler come to him. Try to bait him. There it is.
Schultz is just too good there.
He's too quick. He's too quick.
Too quick as a grappler. He'll take him down every time, it seems.
So Schultz right back where he wants to be. But it's Goodridge now in the guard.
Well, Goodridge is so powerful, he can probably be able to maintain guard just by locking on and just holding on.
And just holding on to his gi.
You know, it's a great tactic in a fight. It's what you want to do. But in terms of winning here at the UFC, it's going to spell problems for him because Schultz is racking up points.
So Dragon, how much does that raw power of Goodridge mean in a battle like this where technique is so important?
Well, he's able to nullify his opponent as far as getting taken right out or choked out or submitted. I don't see that happening, but he can't get out of this position. He doesn't have the technical wherewithal to get out of this position. But it does enable him to survive.
So defensively, it's a plus.
Right.
But not offensively.
No, he can't do anything unless he uses the bench press.
Schultz with some short chopping blows. Jeff, he uses his hands very well around Goodridge's face.
Well, he's just, you know, he might be covering the mouth to make him breathe through his nose, which would deprive him a little bit of air. It's a smart tactic. I once, you know, I've said that before. Just cover his whole face with your hand, and it's going to cut the air.
I think that could come close to being the fish hook, and I think they said to keep the fingers away from the mouth because of the fish hooking.
Here we go.
Which is
and the danger of, yes, either a fish hook or an eye gouge.
He just spit his mouthpiece out. That's a sign of sucking air.
Yes, it is. It's a sign of fatigue, and there's some good shots landed by Mark Schultz.
That's it. Stop it. Get it up. Get it up. Get it up. You're all right, baby.
That's it.
He's cut. He's cut.
I believe either that or he'll take him over to the doctor for a look. All right, John McCarthy say no. We're going to have the doctor take a look at it before we stop this thing.
If he's okay, what this means is Goodridge got the break. He's going to be put back up on his feet, which seems to be the only position that he's capable of launching offense from.
And there is the ironic look of Dave Beneteau outside the octagon looking in. And Dr. Richard Istrigo and Leon Tabbs now taking a good look at Gary Goodridge while Beneteau mounts some more strategy. Goodrich's cut is near the right eye. And it's pretty nasty, says Dr. Richard Istrigo. I don't think he's going to allow him to continue.
Put the mouthpiece in. Put the mouthpiece in.
He said he's not that bad. They're going to let him go.
Yeah, you know, that's actually not that bad. If you look at it, it's off to the side of the eye, not over the eye, where the bleeding will go down into the eye. So I agree. I think that a cut like that, they can allow it. Now, we've seen this happen twice where the guy on the bottom, out of bleeding, gets to be restarted, which is a heck of a break.
Yes, it is. And now let's see if there's desperation in Goodridge. Will he come out and just flurry like crazy thinking he is in trouble? This is where patience and experience really pays off, and Goodridge hasn't been in this position in the UFC.
I don't think he's got the patience. You know what? I think you hit the nail on the head. He could be taken down every time.
Schultz is very relaxed for a first-timer. Just keeps his hands up. Ooh, he took a shot at him.
Wow, he went right to the area where the bleeding was, and he landed.
I think Schultz is going to duke it out a little bit. He looks like he even wants to throw a kick.
I think he wants him to grab the leg, and then he's going to come back with the right hand.
There he goes. There he goes.
Look at the power
Look at Schultz's
Mark
power.
Schultz.
Oh.
What a show he's putting on when they're in the standing position.
Just tremendous power.
What a body slam.
He is very good once he gets underneath you of lifting.
And he is strong. He's only 203 pounds, and he lifted 240 like it was 140.
Technique is everything. It's not a matter of strength in the arms. It's body position and technique.
We've been talking so much about Goodrich's strength, we kind of forgot about Schultz.
2 minutes and 45 seconds in regulation.
Let's go.
This is a repeat of what's happened every time they've gotten on the ground. The same, right down to the leg lock.
Oh, Schultz now 2 punches in a row.
And oftentimes you think a restart benefits the man on the bottom, but each time it has benefited the man on the top, Schultz.
Well, if Goodridge can absorb that kind of impact 3 times in a row and say it's part of his strategy, very well, then he's a very tough individual. But Schultz has that power, but behind that power is that awesome technique. He was a gymnastic champion in high school, switched over to wrestling, became a state champion in wrestling, and then went on to become world and Olympic champion.
Heck of an athlete.
Coming up on 2 minutes in regulation.
And Don, looking at a scorecard, what do you think right now?
Well, it's Schultz all the way. Just beyond shadow of a doubt, he's way ahead on the judges' scorecards unless they're looking at a different fight.
You can see Schultz trying to pull his left leg out of that scissor hold by Goodridge. Once he does that, he'd be in what they call, and he better be careful because Goodridge has got his toe there. He could get an ankle lock. And
he could actually put some pressure on that.
But I tell you, Schultz is grabbing onto his gi as well.
Oh. Schultz maintains his position. 3-minute overtime would come up next. Mark Schultz, late fill-in, as late as today for Dave Beneteau, broke his right hand.
While training with Mark Schultz. So it seems almost ironic that Schultz would go ahead and take his place. First timer out of the blue, no training in preparation for a fight. And certainly to come in the day of a fight and have to put that mental pressure on yourself all at once.
Under a minute to go in regulation. What a chin Goodridge has, by the way.
Schultz away here. This is all part of the Brazilian attitude towards being on top in that mounted position, is just to bide your time, wait for that bottom person to make a mistake. And there's a mistake.
Look out, he's in the mount.
Open hands.
He's trying to end it. Schultz is trying to end it.
Open hands.
And I think John McCarthy, with respect for Goodridge's chin and strength, didn't stop the fight.
I'll tell you what, I didn't see a good solid hit land. Tell you the truth, he did not throw anything.
Oh, that one was there.
No, they're glancing blows. They're glancing off those arms and forearms and elbows.
Goodridge hanging tough. He's got 5 seconds to get it through regulation. And then it's overtime.
He's got his arm.
Yeah, he's starting to look for the arm. He's looking for the arm.
I wonder if Schultz knows there's an overtime.
There's got to be an overtime.
There is an overtime. I think Schultz knows it because he's looking back at his opponent. For a moment there, he was almost celebrating.
Well, he should be celebrating. He's won this fight unless he slips on a banana peel in the next 2 minutes.
Who is in the octagon here? Who is in the octagon? There's somebody in the octagon. He got rid of him was a photographer. He must have thought the fight was over. Doctors checking out Goodridge, putting the salve on.
3-minute overtime. Anyone who didn't know knows now, including that photographer who made his way inside the octagon. Schultz and Goodridge. Wow, what a first 12 minutes. That's Dave Beneto's right hand, which is broken, which is over the top of the octagon. Goodridge is being looked at.
It's over.
It's over. John McCarthy says it's over. There will be no OT. I heard him loud and clear. There will be no overtime. The referee stops the fight. Schultz has won.
That's going to do it. Mark Schultz in his first
Ladies and
UFC.
gentlemen, the doctors have stopped the fight. The winner.
Performs admirably, showing great technique, great power, and for someone with no experience, great poise.
What a victory by Schultz.
Competitor.
Oh, he's got tremendous heart and soul. He's got a little bit of that Mark Messier look about him. The leadership, the competitive nature, and the will to win.
And how much time did he have to train for this event?
Well, a half a day.
Half a day?
Well, I mean, he's always in training when you're working with somebody else, but you never think about your opponent. How tough is that, Don? You know the difficulty about picking up a guy late. You've done it before.
I've done it, but I've never done it the day of the bout. I'll have to admit, you know, I've always had a certain length of time, at least 2 weeks before a bout.
Here's Jeff Blatnick. Jeff, take it away.
Mark, you took the fight today, no preparation. How can you come in here and perform that well?
Well, it's not no preparation, but just very little. I've had a lot of training from Pedro Sauer, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but I just did my best with what I knew, and thank God it came out okay.
Well, there's a real irony here in that David Beneteau was supposed to fight, and in training with you broke his hand, and the doctors here would not let him fight, and then you take his place. Was that a motivation for you?
I think maybe it was more like a predestination than a motivation. My motivation is my brother Dave, and my God, my family. That's my motivation.
Well, Mark, you performed very well. Can we plan on seeing you again in the future?
I'll have to think about it. See what kind of money they can come up with.
Well, Mark, you performed very well. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.